Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
This podcast is supported by FX's English Teacher. Last year's critically acclaimed series returns to follow Evan, Gwen, and Marky as they vie for their students' divided attention. See why Cosmopolitan called its premiere season a masterclass of comedy, while Glamour raved it's the year's funniest and most heartwarming new comedy series. FX's English Teacher. All new Thursdays on FX. All episodes now streaming on Hulu.
I'm always looking for ways to show my cat how much I love her. And with Fancy Feast gems, I can pamper her whenever I want with a savory gravy on top of a gourmet mousse pâté. The pyramid shape makes serving simple, so all I have to do is peel and plate to make mealtime feel extra fancy. And with 2 entrees in every pack, it's easy to turn every day into the extraordinary. Fancy Feast gems.
Purina believes no one should have to make the impossible choice between their own safety and their pets. But nearly half of domestic abuse survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Through the Purple Leash Project, Purina is helping create more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters so survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit Purina.com/purple to learn more.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Tom, what is the GOAT of street foods?
Like capital GOAT? Like,
no, it cannot be GOAT itself, unless it is. But what is the GOAT of street foods?
Okay, I'm gonna avoid saying the like London Italian sausage that you can get from like the street vendors at 3 a.m. coming home from a late night in Russell Square.
Like in Berlin?
No, I'm in London.
No, London is not the answer to this question in any form or fashion.
I'm saying I'm avoiding it, Kevin. I'm avoiding that answer, even though I have probably consumed more of those Italian sausages that are piping hot with the peppers and the onions, and probably have taken years off my life. But I digress. The answer for me, I've never had a Philly cheesesteak that has done me wrong. So I'm going to go with the Philly cheesesteak.
It is bun cat. In Vietnam, those little mini flour and coconut discs that are little jewels topped with ground shrimp and ground onion. I must have had like 1,000 of those in a 2-week span in Vietnam. This is Pack Your Knives. I'm Kevin Arnovitz.
And I'm Tom Haberstroh.
Tom, I'm going to make a bold statement here. I thought this was one of the most compelling episodes in Top Chef history.
I love this episode. The mise en place, all that. I feel like, hey, for all the producers out there, Bravo or Magical Elves, I want you to do me a favor. Can you please send me just the raw video of the mise en place race? Because I want to study it. I want to see what 8 of the best chefs in the world, how they do all of these different dice everything, and the avocado, the de-shrimp, the de-pooping of the shrimp, all of it. I want to see all of that in its entirety, not like a 2-minute, sizzle reel of it. It was so fun to watch. And I got you know what, Kevin, like from the beginning, it was getting Gagan Anand to come in and just have a beer with the crew and opening few minutes there. It was like, I don't know. It was a great episode. And I loved this fastest, even though it was a little bit gimmicky with the Fast and Furious franchise. I get it. We had that Jurassic Park one from last season. This was a tremendous episode.
Yeah, and I think it's a really good illustration of how compelling the show is as competition. And look, there is nothing wrong with following contestants into a Whole Foods or watching them brood at home or going to more personal stories. I think that stuff is essential to the soul of the show. But it just moved and moved. It was an exciting hour of television. I could have watched them prep fish and de-pith orange for hours. It was just riveting. And there's something about the ticking clock that is exciting, it creates freneticism. You feel the pressure. We were glued to the screen. And so I just think this was converting the mise en place from a quick fire into the basis of an elimination challenge, and then giving the chefs only 30 minutes to work was just brilliant. And of course, I love the quick fire, because what's better than street food? They come in with Judy Jew, who is famous for Soul Bird. It's got 2 locations, I think, in London. One is in West London. One is near Canary Wharf. I think they got one of the Aria now. I think they got one of the Aria if you find yourself there for some summer league. And she is a street food enthusiast. Soul Bird is a street food concept, kind of Korean fried chicken, Korean grilled chicken, and they got to go pick up a passport. Each of the cheftestants. They go to the map. What country do you want? You don't know the dish, but you will know the country. And we got
Kevin,
9 really interesting choices.
This is my question, Kevin. You're not a chef, but let's say you're an eater, and you see that board with the cuisines from the different passports. Which one are you grabbing? Because we got Canada, Colombia, India, Vietnam, Japan, Argentina, Jamaica, Turkey, and China. Which street food are you going for? Which one are you grabbing? I'm
probably going doner kebab. Right, because you know what you're going to get there. Like, you know pretty much if you go Argentina, you're getting empanadas, right? You know that if you're going – actually, the other one you could do is go Canada, because you know you're getting poutine, right? There's no other really, I think, definitive Canadian street food. So if you want to make fries, you do that, right? I think China and Southeast Asia are chancy, and we saw that with Buddha, who struggled, even though he ultimately won the quickfire, because like making crepes and noodles on the fly, like that's, you don't know what you're going to get. I think India, anything is game. I would have thought you may have gotten a samosa, right? So you know you're going to be working with pastries. Had I known jerk chicken was going to be on there, I would have done that. But I'm thinking when she got Jamaica, she's going to be getting a Jamaican patty, which I think is my number 2 street food, by the way.
But Argentina had the empanadas and Colombia had the arepa. So I get you're trying to go for something a little bit different. So you go with the jerk chicken. But I thought this was a really solid quick fire. And I thought Gabri was going to take this one home. Buddha wins it, but I thought he did an excellent job with the parsnip fries and the chicken gravy, the crispy cheese and the pancetta and mushrooms. Again, this one like speaks to my soul, this dish. I would order that 10 times out of 10. And as good as Buddha did on the essentially like the crepe omelet that he just basically did from scratch, with the pork and the shrimp and bean sprouts and coriander. I thought what Gabri did was fantastic. I thought that was going to be the winning dish.
I was surprised because, I mean, Tom, if I swap out your French fries, potatoes with parsnips, are you happy?
I don't know. I haven't had it.
Right. And that's just my thing. So I applaud Gabri. I thought that was a potentially terrible decision. I'm sitting there like, why would you ever like replace potatoes with parsnips? Like that's what people who are dieting, it's like something I do because I'm trying to, cut down on my carbs. I mean, it's just like, that was
Can you imagine, Kevin, what Sylvia would have said if she was on set for that? If she had witnessed the atrocity of subbing out the potato for a parsnip.
Potato erasure in the poutine is not something I think you would necessarily go for. So all credit to Gabri for going parsnips and getting on top. I mean, they were 3, Buddha, Gabri, and Tom for his Bel Puri, which was also kind of chancy because you're making an Indian street food classic for Padma. And apparently he just crushed it. In fact, he did a really interesting job on it, Tom did. He decided. So Bel Puri is kind of like this crunchy, puffed rice, like, remember like in the texture of sugar smacks, And you mix it with veggies and there's like chutney and he decided to serve it on a mushroom steak, which I thought was interesting. Usually you maybe just get it in a cone or maybe on a little paper plate. And so Tom kind of got off the schneid after a couple really bad weeks and ended up in the top with Buddha and Gabri.
And I got to hand it to the Magical Elves because they did an amazing job editing this episode, especially the quickfire, because it seemed like no one really knew what they were doing. It seemed like this quick fire threw everyone for a loop. And when you had Tom basically saying, I don't know why I chose Indian food because now I'm serving it to Padma, and then he knocks it out of the park. And the same thing with Buddha, where he seemed like he was really struggling and seemed like, oh, I'm going to overcook this. I'm not sure I'm going to get this plated. And he lands it. And Gabri, from the get-go, he said he really wanted to do Canada because he was, he's not the most well-traveled. He's not a globetrotter in that sense. And so he has been to Canada and he wanted to do that one. But everyone else, it seemed like, I don't know how I can pull this off. And for those three dishes, Buddha, Gabri, and Tom, hats off to Tom. A huge bounce-back episode. We'll get to his elimination challenge next later in the episode. But yeah, Charbel he messed up big time with the takoyaki. He obviously didn't choose takoyaki, he chose Japanese food. And Judy was very gracious and just saying like that was
not terribly gracious, actually. Like it didn't what did she say? So it didn't resemble it. It didn't speak. Like you basically captured nothing. You did not do the challenge.
I didn't taste octopus, no takoyaki. Like, no, it was just not, a huge swing and a miss.
What was interesting is actually he did identify what it was. I mean, he said, okay, it's an octopus fritter. That is essentially what takoyaki is. And so it was just a matter of execution. Japanese street food's funny because it is, I thought, you can do that. Okonomiyaki, I thought maybe that he'd get the pancake. But no, he laid an egg. Nicole's Chinese bubble waffles were not very bubbly. And Sarah apparently did not impress with her filling, which was dry, the beef, shallot, corn, piquillo pepper. But I didn't know that it was possible to put too much butter in a dough, because I will take a very buttery, flaky empanada dough.
And we got a little callback with the homemade taunts at Rupp Arena. She had a little bit of PTSD from the boxed waffles episode, and didn't quite salvage the empanadas with the ground beef. Wasn't her best dish, but that's fine in quickfire. The stakes aren't huge in quickfire. So they move on. Ali did the doner kebab, which was, I think, the safest move. And who doesn't love a good doner kebab? And he was in the middle here. Amar with the heavy, again, super heavy arepas from Amar. I didn't think they loved that dish. It was in the middle. It wasn't quite in the bottom. And Victoire with the jerk chicken. And it seemed like Padma liked it because she was like, what's in that sauce? But not enough to get in the top three. So the quick fire is done. We get the passport. Everyone chooses their dishes. And look, the elimination challenge. We have a movie product placement, the Fast and the Furious franchise. I don't know if Maze is able to come in and talk about the Fast and Furious franchise as our cinephobe movie buff connoisseur. But Kevin, are you a Fast and Furious fan, I guess I should say?
I enjoyed the first one, and I'm embarrassed to say I have not seen one since. This funny thing happened with our job with the NBA, which is just my movie consumptions dropped the minute I started covering the league. I just think that time spent in stadiums, but I was a huge fan of the first one. I might be seeing the one coming up, the premiere they're going to. But I do. There's a ton of kinetic energy in that film, and yes. So I am not a fan. I've seen only the first.
Kevin, do me a favor. If you go to see the new one, do not see anything in between. I want your reaction coming from the first one 22 years ago to the 10th one, where now Jason Momoa is a sexually fluid, flirty supervillain. That's what I want.
Oh, fantastic.
Well, spoiler alert. Jeez, come on.
That's just in the trailer, Tom.
Okay.
All right. I will come on the Count the Dings movie show, the movie phobe.
We're going to get Kevin on Cinephobe to watch Fast and... Well, I don't know. Kevin, the conceit for Cinephobe is that it has to be 40% or lower on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, this is not going to be that. People love these movies.
That means Kevin could watch Tokyo Drift, and I think maybe the fourth one are eligible.
The fourth one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is The Fast and the Furious.
Oh, okay. So this is Fast 10. So there's been 10 in the franchise, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And we got a nice little vignette, Maze, before you go. So all of them are basically good movies in your opinion? They're good motion pictures?
One is good because it's Point Break with cars. 2 is all right. And I think that actually might be Cinephobe eligible as well. So yeah, it's 2 and 3 are Cinephobe eligible, maybe 4. Fast 5 that's when it reinvented what it was doing completely. And it just became action porn. And then 6, 7, 8, 9 kind of all blur together in my head. The Rock gets mad at Vin Diesel at some point and drops out of the franchise and gets his own spinoff. But now where we're at, it's almost like James Bond meets The Godfather. I don't even know how to describe it. It's so crazy at this point, like the things that they do on a consistent basis. So there's something like a giant rolling ball tank in this new one.
Okay.
They've already been to space. So who knows what the limit is? Hello, listener. It's producer Maze here to talk to you about Quince and their cookware. Cooler nights mean cozy meals at home, and Quince's cookware has made fall cooking so much more enjoyable. Their pieces deliver the quality and performance of luxury brands, but at a price that makes sense. And they look gorgeous on the stovetop, too. No matter what item you need to complete your kitchen, Quince has you covered. With 5-ply stainless steel pots and pans, nonstick skillets, chef-quality knives, and even ceramic bakeware, which is perfect for cozy casseroles or Sunday roasts. And when you look at these prices, you might think, how is Quince doing this? How do they deliver high-quality items similar to high-end brands that are half the price? Well, let me tell you, they partner directly with ethical top-tier factories to cut out the middlemen and pass the savings on to you. And it's not just cookware. I got myself some bath sheets. That's right. When you're a tall man, you have to use bath sheets, not bath towels from Quince. It's like drying off with a cloud. It's incredible. Upgrade your kitchen for cozy fall meals with premium cookware from Quince. Go to quince.com/dings for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/dings, DINGS, to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dings.
Listener, listen up. This is important, okay? I'm going to try to save you some money here. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. You may think like, oh, that's bad. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. Here's why I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for $15 a month. You heard that correctly. $15 per month. Ditch overpriced wireless and the jaw-dropping monthly bills. And of course, there are all these hidden fees and stuff, but at Mint Mobile, plans start at $15 per month. All the plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text. You're not doing like weekend and nighttime minutes or anything like that. And it's delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone. Don't have to get a new phone. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all of your existing contacts. I switched months ago. People have asked, did you actually switch? Yes, I actually switched months ago, and I don't know what to do with all this extra money. I've cheated the system here. I've rigged something. This is an Ocean's 11 situation where I'm stealing wireless from Mint. That's how good a deal it is. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/dings. That's DINGS. That's mintmobile.com/dings. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 per month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
Hello, listener. It's producer Maze here to talk to you about Kindred. Now, close your eyes like Owen Wilson during a job interview and imagine a way to travel that feels personal, comfortable, and connected without the price tags and the sterile feelings of hotels or short-term rentals. Now open your eyes and stop using your imagination because Kindred has made it very real. That's exactly what they do. Kindred is a members-only home swapping network. It's not a hotel. It's not a short-term rental. It's a smarter way to travel where each stay feels like home. Here's how it works. With Kindred, your home is your ticket. You earn credits by hosting fellow Kindred members, and then you use those credits to stay in over 220,000 homes in more than 100 cities worldwide. There are no hotel costs or rental fees, just the credits that you've earned. Every stay comes with white glove service, 24/7 trip support, and $100,000 in host protection. Make it easier for you to travel and enjoy yourself and not worry about details. I've used Kindred and I found an amazing home for a weekend getaway in an idyllic location with amazing views and great ambiance. It had everything I needed. And the best part was, it cost me $0. So apply now at livekindred.com and use code DINGS to join for free. Plus, you'll earn 5 nights of travel credit just for signing up. That's right, that's 5 whole nights for free at livekindred, KINDRED.com, code DINGS, DINGS, livekindred.com, code DINGS.
This episode is brought to you by 20th Century Studios' new film, Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, starring Golden Globe winner Jeremy Allen White and Academy Award nominee Jeremy Strong. Scott Cooper, the director of the Academy Award-winning movie Crazy Heart, brings you the story of the most pivotal chapter in the life of an icon, Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. Only in theaters October 24th. Get your tickets now.
This episode is brought to you by Nature's Bounty. Nature's Bounty believes your body is brilliant, naturally designed to thrive, inside and out. For those always looking for new ways to support your health from head to heels, Nature's Bounty has a range of over 400 vitamins and supplements born from 50 years of trust and care. Nature's Bounty. It's in your nature. Visit naturesbounty.com to learn more.
Well, I am so glad we got a Fast franchise sponsorship on this episode because, Kevin, the whole Fastest conceit here with the mise en place, awesome. Just thrilling. Yeah. And yeah, it's gimmick. It's a little bit, I don't know, the lights on the chef's tables and the sound effects and the darkened room. Like they had to play it up just like they did with the Jurassic episode from last season. But you know what? Like this is fun because it feels like it is one of those conceits that fits with the show. The Fastest 30-minute elimination challenge where they draw knives. There's 3 races, 3 teams. There's so many elements of this I liked. What did you think?
No, if you're going to do a cross-promotional challenge, this is the way to do it, right? I mean, the Fast and the Furious is exactly what you want, the mise en place race. It is so funny, too, because what's amazing, you're captivated by something that I think most people regard as tedious. Like if I had told you, hey, come sit down, come over, and we're going to watch people like devein shrimp. Yeah. Or take the pith off of oranges, and it's going to be riveting, right? Like mise en place, by its very nature, is some of the most tedious, repetitive tasks you can imagine in the kitchen. I mean, that's what it is. It's one of the reasons some people don't like cooking, is it just, and yet it makes for just an incredible race, whether it's a quick fire, and particularly here, there's a lot at stake. What's interesting about it, Tom, is the conceit, just to review, is by what you get for winning the race is your first choice of food item, right? For ultimately preparing a dish. So there's a penalty, right? Yeah. So there's a penalty. Like you win it, you're going to get the hamachi or the shrimp. You lose it, you're going to get stuck with prickly pear, right? And so what was interesting about the challenge is that didn't end up being that much of an advantage.
Yeah, and I think what I also loved about this, Kevin, besides the drafting conceit and the picking of the ingredients, what I loved about it was seeing the awe of the other chefs, watching the other chefs do mise en place. So like when Gabri is filleting the hamachi, they're basically going nuts. They're like, look at this guy. Yes. He's amazing. And when we're sitting home and watching it, I don't know what it looks like to be super fast and super efficient at filleting an amachi tuna steak, basically. But when I see the rest of the contestants losing their minds about Gabri, just like an absolute maestro out there doing this, I love that. I love to see their reactions, because when, who else was just incredible on this? Like, there was the shrimp, deveining the shrimp, the peas, they're so much better at the average human being at doing this task, but also a couple of them were so much better than the average chef. And you got to see kind of these humble beginnings of their kitchen careers, is that they were at some point having to prep this for hours on end. And you got to see some of these. I mean, it's like watching Steph Curry do that dribble routine before the game. You're just like, yeah, I get to watch the actual game, and I can see that Steph Curry's really good at dribbling. But when you isolate that skill to just him standing there and doing dribbling drills, it blows your mind, perhaps more captivating than anything he can do in an actual game. I kind of felt like that was Steph Curry doing dribbling drills, stationary dribbling drills, or juggling tennis balls while dribbling, was kind of like this mise en place.
Yeah, so some of the MVPs I have on this were Sarah on the lamb chops, clearly, Victoire on peas, Tom on peppers, and we'll talk about that in a second. Buddha on the shrimp does 26, just throws in a couple extra. Why the hell not? Gabri prepping the yellowtail, and Amar on oranges, because I got to tell you, like, I work a lot with citrus and salads. Like, it's California. I do my cara orange avocado salad, and I have to say, though, that just sort of getting pith and sectioning oranges and citrus is just such a pain in the ass. And to watch him just kind of, wow, Amar was amazing at that. Interesting enough, like, and you look at Ali, who is not incredibly fast as a prep guy. And so you do see kind of, and I imagine it has a lot to do with, like, did you work the line at a high intensity, high volume place, right? But there's no rhyme. Or Victoire, hey, as a child, I was sitting there over, Peepaws, and it became a contest among my siblings. Yeah. Or Sarah saying, hey, look, you're a woman in the kitchen at a certain moment, and you feel like you have to show added value. And one of the ways you can do that is just being really good on prep. Now, I want to talk about the kind of the one bit of personal conflict we saw was when the team, the yellow team with Tom, Gabri, and Ellie had to divide up that third round, who gets lamb chops, who gets peppers, who gets dates. Tom kind of usurped without unilaterally the peppers. Ali is the natural person for dates. He's a Middle Eastern chef. Dates are everywhere, which left Gabri with something he's clearly never done before, which was to French lamb chops. Now, I would say to Tom, hey, dude, so part of the assignment process is not so much what you do well, it's what you don't do well. And if there is a chef on your team who literally has zero experience working with lamb, it doesn't really matter if you're like turbocharged man on peppers and you want to impress. It's not really about that. Like, you can't leave. Like, in actuality, I would imagine that Ali is probably pretty decent at lamb. Again, as a Middle Eastern chef, I would imagine there's a lot of that on his menu. And so I think maybe the better assignment would have been Ali on lamb, give Tom his precious peppers, and give Gabri dates. But it did cost them. Ultimately, though, it didn't cost them, because what we saw is my other point, which is deprivation is good. And we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, this is why I was kind of bummed to see Tom win this episode as the winner, because of the subtext of what he did to Gabri and the team dynamics of him just ignoring Gabri, being like, I mean, when anyone tells you, like, I'm okay with it, but not my favorite, what that means. Translation, I don't want to do it. Let's find some other answer here. And it reminds me of like competitive advantage in economics 101, where it's like, it's not necessarily what you do well, it's what you do better than everybody else or your rival. And for Tom to stick a teammate with something he obviously doesn't do well, and then say, I can do that. I can do the whole, trimming the lamb, but I really want to do a red pepper. I really want to do that. Competitive advantage. You don't do the thing where Gabri is like, I can do a red pepper, great, but my deficit at doing a lamb loin is way larger than the gain you're going to get on you doing the red pepper. And to me, that was kind of a dick move from Tom. Sorry, pardon the French here. But I think when you're Tom, I don't want to see that get rewarded. He gets the win on the entire elimination challenge when he kind of screwed over his teammate there. And I kind of felt for Gabri there. And like you said, in the end, even though they didn't have a protein in this dish, they were the winning team, and all's well that ends well, I guess. But I thought that was I don't know. Tom has this kind of stubbornness to him, doesn't he? This, like, we've seen it this season.
Talked about it. We've talked about it in selecting his own dishes on what to do, and sort of with teammates. I mean, he's a stubborn guy.
What was it? I don't like. What was the thing he didn't like?
I don't like dry cookies, so I'm just going to basically make a cake instead, which is fine. However, what's interesting is, as is so often the case, I think in Top Chef, that, as I like to say, deprivation is good. So the team that clearly, I think, had you handicapped, it had the crappiest set of ingredients, right? I mean,
avocados, peas, and red peppers.
Right. They're the one team without a protein. And yet they win. And I think, again, it's a truism in Top Chef that sometimes deprivation is good. That if you just say to a chef, hey, you're only working with this, it's not a preferred item, you actually outperform, because whether that's judges have less expectations of what to expect from a pea dish or an avocado dish or a red pepper dish, the humility of the ingredient then translates into, wow, and just look at what you did with this humble ingredient. Whereas, hey, hamachi, which was, I think, the prize of the field, largely because if you're doing a 30-minute challenge,
oh yeah,
it's a crudo in waiting, right? It's a tartare in waiting, which is exactly what Victoire did. And by all accounts, she did a decent job. She did a colatura, which is an Italian fish sauce, dates, lemon, and hamachi. Probably delicious. And but probably a ceiling there as well. Meanwhile, the lamb people just all got infatuated with their lamb to a fault and ended up screwing themselves. So it was interesting that if you wanted to really pick nits and say, okay, the mise en place was fun to watch, but consequentially it wasn't really that big of a deal, because you just get what you get. And it turned out the best dishes were the supporting dishes, the pea dishes, the pepper dishes, the avocado dishes. Then even, Buddha's date cake and whatever else. That's sort of the thing too. So once again, deprivation is good on Top Chef. You don't need the fancy stuff. In fact, sometimes getting the lousy item is the best road to victory.
And I don't think the green team with their lamb three ways, I don't even think they had bad dishes. I think it was just the least great dishes. Because they played up the whole, hey, this is a little surprising. So you decided to do, each of you are going to do lamb instead of doing 3 separate dishes with 3 separate ingredients. I think that was a case of, hey, we have to create and stoke some sort of conflict here, a reason for them to be in the bottom, because for all intents and purposes, it seemed like they were all good dishes. Like, they had
I don't know. I mean, I would say that I think they're clearly, Charbel put out a very bland piece of seared lamb loin, a roasted carrot that got kind of, the way I love to roast carrots, and sometimes they just come out, it comes out kind of chewy or twiggish, and apparently he didn't execute that. And then, a carrot Dijonais puree, which is bright on the plate, but basically just a puree. I mean, basically the irony of this great intricate episode where, God, it just was constantly moving. It was fantastic. Is the person who went home because he didn't execute his protein. It goes back to didn't execute his protein, right? Amar,
it wasn't a bad protein. It just was tasteless, which I guess is the bad protein.
But it is. And I thought that, who was it on the thing who said, I think it was Tom on the judges table said, hey, or was it Gail who said, you didn't actually, if you're highlighting lamb, you didn't do the lamb justice, right?
Yeah.
Now Amar is interesting because so Amar, of all the 9 chefs, he violated the spirit of the dish the most in not featuring the item he was supposed to feature, right? He went with the prickly pear gastrique.
Guess what, though, Kevin?
What?
He chose the prickly pear. No one else wanted to do it, so he took the fall for it, and so he used the prickly pear.
But Tom, we just learned there's no fall. Like, you get peas, you do a great pea dish. You get fucking avocados, you do an avocado dish, right? Like,
but prickly pear on the board. If I give you 9 ingredients, isn't prickly pear like the number 9 pick?
Sure, but it's also. I think what we've seen is the expectations are measured. And imagine he does a prickly pear, like let's say he does a prickly pear salad with like seared lamb, right? Like almost a larb. Like you can come up with really interesting prickly pear dishes where you've got the protein accompaniment and wow,
Sure.
It just is great. Like I think the other chefs prove that you can take, peppers, for God's sake. I don't even like red peppers.
Yeah, I don't either.
No one likes red peppers. And yet, in fact, oh, by the way, I want to just say,
better than green
David Silber,
peppers.
the fermentation king, who was the guest judge, was great. Another thing to love about this episode.
Yes.
He kind of felt very pack your knives, man. Like, I kind of felt like I just liked his brand of analysis and his energy. Like, they've done a great job of bringing in great judges this season. And I could listen to David Silber. I want him as a regular. Like, he was fantastic. But as he said, what is more dejecting than getting a plate on the table that is a roasted red pepper? And he created a winning dish out of that. Like, I refuse to believe that a creative chef can't take prickly pear and just say, and have Gail Simmons say, like, you have elevated prickly pear to, like, that's the game. And so I totally understand what Amar did. And frankly, that harissa grilled lamb chop looked good. And it was good because it was Amar. And Amar just, nobody does like hearty proteins like Amar. Like he's a wizard, but it almost cost him. And if not for Charbel putting out a bland lamb, he's gone.
I would be so mad if Amar was kicked off for that dish, because look, Charbel and Sarah could have done the prickly pear, but he stepped up to the plate and said, I'll take the thing that no one wants and I'll make a dish with it. And yes, it was muted. Yes, it was background noise in his overall dish, but I felt like he did them a solid by taking that off their plate. And for Charbel, who, by the way, 25 years old, he's 25 on this show. He's on the Top Chef World All-Stars, and he just became like legal age of drinking. 25. He can now get a rental car under his own name in America, and he's on the World All-Stars of Top Chef. Like, hats off to that dude. He just won and was one of the top point getters on this show this season, and he gets sent home for this bland or a little boring dish of lamb loin, the carrot, and just kind of, it was a little bit gummy. But I'm with you. David Silber, who, for those who don't know, like the Noma Guide to Fermentation, which should be in everybody's, if you're working at home as a cook, or you like fermenting anything, get that book. It's fantastic. And he is a great judge. And I was just kind of like, it seemed like he was, could have been a Top Chef, a mainstay on Top Chef. That's how good he was. It just seemed like his chemistry with the rest of the crew, it was top notch. And yes, Charbel had to go home because it was a bland plate of food. But I also think that Amar and Sarah in particular produced pretty good dishes.
Yes.
And this was a case, Kevin, although Tom didn't say, and he always says this when it's applicable, this is just the best food we've had all season. I think he could have said this for this episode, because even though that they were the losing team, I felt like Charbel, while he did have the losing dish, it was better than any of the losing dishes we've seen this season.
Do you think it was? I don't know, and I think it's a function really of time, not of the chefs. I don't think it was the best food they'd had all season. It didn't look like it. No one had any other thing. Look, let's just go through them. Shrimp tempura, Nicole's Thai curry sauce. No one had anything really fancy to say. Hamachi tartare. Yeah, it was nice. The dates added a little sweet. Date cake. I don't think they had much to say about the date cake. Sarah's dish was clearly the standout of that one, and good for her for actually kind of being able to work orange into about 3 different elements on that plate. But I didn't get the sense that this was like earth-shattering food. I think it was, you did a nice job with a humble red pepper. You did a nice job with humble peas. You did a nice job with the humble avocado.
Maybe I should say, given the constraints of 30 minutes,
yes,
they were. I think the judges were impressed with not just the quality of food, but the innovation of the dish. Like, you have to come up with this dish, and I thought it was interesting. they didn't seem to be allowed to talk about their dishes until the clock started. Did you notice that? So they had 10-minute revolving rounds, and as soon as the green team was able to go, then they huddled up and said, "This is what I'm going to do." And I thought that was interesting, is that not only did you have to cook only in 30 minutes, but you had to create your menu in that time. So it was, in terms of tall tasks, it was as difficult of a challenge as we've seen on this show. The speed and just learning your teammates. Like, you weren't handpicking your teammates. This wasn't a draft of teammates. This was drawing knives, and those are your teammates, deal with it. And yes, I should have corrected myself. It wasn't necessarily the best food that they got this season, but in terms of like successful dishes in the brief.
Right. There were no clunkers. It seemed like, other than Charbals.
Yeah.
And Amar, only because it didn't taste good. It just, he fudged the prickly pear situation.
Right. And so, I mean, I take a little bit issue of Tom winning this episode after what he did to Gabri, but it's fine. Ali on my team gets 5 points for that. Gabri gets the 5 points for his charred avocado, and he continues to just provide the most bang for his buck on our draft. I even took a guy who is already eliminated over Gabri, and Gabri has now delivered several impressive performances this season, even while he trips on his own feet in the kitchen and gets back up and produces a really strong dish. I used to have sliced avocado with olive oil and salt during my lunch meals every day. And some people say, you're putting oil on avocado. He does it here with a little bit of bacon fat, and it seems like oil on something that is kind of heavy and an avocado and fatty. But I love that. I love a sliced avocado with some olive oil, what have you, and some salt on there. I don't have any acid in it, and it was good to see Gabri do that with a little bit of acid on his dish.
Yeah, by the way, a soy sauce vinaigrette I thought was so fascinating, because it's not generally the flavor profile. It's not something you associate with avocado. It was a really fun choice for acid, and I love that. In fact, it's inspired me, because like you, I will often just, avocado for lunch. It's just a beautiful thing. I like to sprinkle that, like, like in the Latino supermarket, you can get it's sort of a chili powder with little dried lime, kind of spice. And I love putting that on there, or sometimes I'll even go Old Bay seasoning. And
like a tagine or something like that. Like,
no, or like, so it is. And so to put, soy sauce, I'm going to give it a shot. Like, that's just a great, fun, thing. By the way, Tom, big news here at Pack Your Knives Los Angeles headquarters is we have planted 2 Haas avocado trees. Now, it's going to be a couple of years, I think, before they start delivering fruit. But I might be living in a world very shortly where I'm one of those people who shows up at dinner parties in Los Angeles with like a brown sack of avocados rather than bringing wine, because I might be awash in delicious Haas avocados. This is the ultimate Los Angeles lifestyle flex, is when you start planting avocado and citrus trees, which I have done now. I've got some Meyer lemons coming in.
Wait a minute. You've got Meyer lemons and avocados? Man, you're set.
And brown turkey figs. So I am going hard on fruit trees.
What is the ultimate boss in that? In the Mortal Kombat, you have to hit the different bosses to get to the final boss. Like in LA flexes, you've got
a yuzu tree. A
yuzu tree. That's the final boss.
I'm thinking about that for next year. Is a yuzu tree.
But Kevin, let me get this straight. So you're gonna have avocado, Meyer lemon tree. You've got the dates, figs, and
Satsuma tangerines.
Wow.
Already yielding fruit this winter. In fact, Kevin, over now.
Kevin, you do, or you did at least, you did like a coaching scouting report on all NBA coaches. And I'm wondering, like, up and coming, it's one of the best pieces you've ever done, is the up and coming kind of the scouting report on assistant coaches in the NBA. Who's going to be the next great head coach? You do this. It was a staple of your annual writing portfolio. And so you have a really keen eye for coaching. I wanted to know, watching this episode, who was the who needs some coaching? Okay. Cause I saw Buddha coaching up, who was it? It was Victoire, maybe?
I think it was Victoire.
He was trying to coach Victoire on how to do her dish, or how to fillet. Was it filleting the hamachi? Was it? I'm
Yes.
trying to remember what it was. Yeah,
I believe so.
and he was trying to give her some tips, and I don't know if it was very successful, but I love that he was trying to coach his teammate on the particulars of filleting the hamachi. And then you had sorry.
The prickly pear situation.
Then you had the prickly pear situation and Tom with the whole Gabri and how he's trying to coach up Gabri and trying to teach him how to do the lamb loin and the ribs and filleting that. And Gabri nearly punched him in the face. It seemed like he wasn't receiving that kind of coaching, Kevin. So do you have any pointers here for the coaches, Buddha and Tom, on how to coach more effectively in these mise en place when you're on the clock and you're stressed out and you might not know how to do it? Maybe some pointers here.
I mean, I don't know, like tell a joke. But it was painful because we've all been where Gabri is, right? Where like you don't have the skills to actually do it. The contributions coming from the peanut gallery are not helping. There's a little bit of a language barrier, not much, but Tom clearly isn't terribly articulate about whatever instruction he thought he was imparting. Yeah. And the prickly pear thing was also kind of funny because Nicole was just peeling it and rather than pairing. And
that's what it was. Yes.
And I think the best coaching of teammates is probably not coaching teammates unless they ask for it.
That's right.
And I think that is because it's just, and by the way, we've also all been where Buddha and Tom are. Like, there's nothing more excruciating than watching someone just completely, lay an egg on a task that you can probably do more efficiently.
Were there any picks on the draft of the ingredients that surprised you? So in the first one, I think the hamachi went first, then oranges, then avocado. I was surprised that Team Green went with the oranges over the avocado.
I was too. Because avocado, I mean, the versatility, I guess, is the thing that was noted. It is truly more versatile. Avocado is harder maybe to feature. If we think about avocado, it tends to act as an accompaniment. Then again, so does orange. I mean, it's an accent, right? So that surprised me a little bit. It didn't surprise me, and I'm sure it didn't surprise you that as a defensive measure to take shrimp, even though you already have hamachi.
Yes, I loved that. Yeah.
And
I guess you could have done a crudo. I'm surprised no one did a crudo with, or a ceviche with hamachi and shrimp. I guess Victoire kind of did that, but not fully with the shrimp, to incorporate both of those. But yeah, I was surprised that didn't go down.
But again, I mean, it's not a flaw in the challenge. But I think one thing we learned is that there was no correlation between prestige of ingredient used and outcome this week, right? Again, the winning team was the team with the sloppy seconds and thirds, right? The lamb was, if anything, a problem for two of the three chefs who used it, including the one who featured it. Went home.
And they had the number one pick, right?
Right.
They were like, thank God we got a protein, and thank God we have lamb. And we saw already Amar win with a lamb shank. So there's already a track record of success here, and it seemed to be their undoing, although I still contend those are three pretty solid dishes, including Sarah's, who might have won the whole thing if she was on the winning team.
But you could also imagine, here's a counterfactual. They don't get the French lamb chops. They get the peppers instead. Now Amar's got to do a prickly pear dish with peppers. Well, now you do kind of a salad. Now you do a fun whatever, or you do, vegetarian freaking fajitas or something, and, topped with a lovely cheese. It's like, I think he does his own tortillas. Like, imagine a world where, okay, it's prickly pear and no lamb chop. Like, I think that if there's one unsatisfying thing is that the consequences ended up not really being consequences. In fact, there was no correlation whatsoever. The advantage of winning mise en place was rendered at best neutral, and at worst kind of cursed, just too much of a good thing.
Right.
And even we saw that the fish, I mean, so you would expect that, oh, wow, if you're telling me, now let me ask you a question you often ask me. Is, okay, going in, we've divided up, we now know which every team is going to use for the 30-minute challenge. And I told you, hey, there's a team with Buddha and Victoire and Nicole each doing a fish protein. I got to think you're telling me that those are the odds-on favorites.
Yes. Green team with lamb as their protein with Amar and Sarah and Charbel. That's pretty close. I would say, yes, the yellow team would come at last here if I was doing a draft board of avocado, peas, red peppers with Ali, Tom, and Gabri. Partly because of the chemistry issues that I would foresee with Tom and Gabri, two very different personalities on the same team and having to work together. But with those ingredients, yeah, it's not blowing me away. And I would say, Kevin, this follows one of the truisms of Pack Your Knives analytics lore, which is the team that has the first pick often backfires. Having to draft your own team and having the first pick, or the ability to draft your own team, oftentimes, more often than not, it backfires. That is actually a disadvantage. And we've, in past episodes of Pack Your Knives, we've gone back and done the research and found that if you do have the number one pick, or you get to draft your own team because you won the quick fire, that inevitably is just like, it is actually not a blessing. It is actually a curse. And so what we have here is the yellow team, which I don't think performed all that well in the mise en place races, and end up not having a protein. And in just perfect Top Chef storytelling, that actually comes back and it benefits them. So like, just another example, another data point to support the idea that having the pick of the litter is actually going to backfire. And it happened here in the mise en place race. And all right, let's peel back a little bit here, Kevin. I had this question. Forgetting ingredients, which team did you think had the most star power, at least odds-on favorite, when you're just looking at the personnel? So Team Red was Nicole, Buddha, and Victoire. Team Green was Charbel, Sarah, and Amar. And yellow was Ali, Tom, and Gabri. Of those three teams, which one do you think on a 3-on-3 tournament you would pick to win?
I mean, this is going to sound like a cop-out, but I tell you, there's a really even distribution of talent, not just because there's so much parity in the competition, but because even if you want to sort of say, stars, if you're somebody who feels like right now the three best chefs in the competition are Ali, Buddha, and Amar, given recent performance, well, they're divvied up. I think like, okay, who would be next? Like Sarah, Nicole has been playing. It's like, I just think it was a really even field. I didn't usually you have the visceral reaction if you follow the show closely when you look at those teams like, oh, they're screwed, right? Like, that's a power. No, you didn't have any of that, right? It just seemed like there was equal distribution of talent across the board. Particularly when you consider
it's a cop-out answer.
It's
Kevin.
a cop-out answer, but I mean, I'm just telling the truth. Like, I'm not a man devoid of opinions. I just think here it just was a complete. It was really good distribution, especially when you consider it's a 30-minute competition. So it is a quick fire, almost last chance kitchen type situation. We're not doing the full on meal. Like you take a lot of tools out of the toolbox. Tom, I think, is a particularly strong chef, even though I know he's suffered from his ambition, but I don't love him in a 30-minute competition. I just don't.
And I don't love him in a team aspect.
No, certainly.
Kevin, I have it the opposite of how it played out. My big board would have been Team Green, Team Red, and then Team Yellow. Just based on the personnel and the personalities and the chemistry aspect. I was wrong, obviously, that it was actually the opposite. Green team was in the bottom, the yellow team was on top, and red was in the middle. Because I think Buddha is individually probably the Michael Jordan of this competition. However, in a team aspect, he can get kind of maybe a prickly pear when it comes to just team dynamics. And we've seen that this season with some sort of disagreements or just, hey, back off a little bit. And we, I think in an individual challenge, he's sensational. But I just think that when you got Ali and Tom and Gabri, I just do not like Tom and Gabri's and their dynamics. And it played out in the mise en place, but ultimately it didn't matter because they went their separate ways in the challenge and they cooked their tails off. And the red pepper has the winning dish. So Tom gets the +10. He's back in the competition. He's essentially, in terms of points, like, he might not be the best, but he's still in the competition and coming off a big win here. And if we're looking at the most points right now on the board, Kevin, we've got Ali with 39 overall points. We've got Buddha with 32. And then coming in third points on the overall standings with Nicole. Those last two on your team. And then I've got Charbel, who got eliminated, of course, and goes to Last Chance Kitchen. But he had 32 points heading into this week and ends up being on the bottom in both competitions, the quick fire and the elimination. Not great timing for him, but as a 25-year-old, dude, you're awesome. And then, looking at rounding it out, Tom has 28. Sarah with 23, Amar has 27, Victoire has 24. And we actually got, Kevin, the list of contestants that have not been in the bottom yet in this whole season has been whittled down from 3 to 1. Charbel, Sarah off the board. And now you're, just an absolute, you've been a huge fan throughout this season, a gem on your team. Nicole has yet to be in the bottom. I'm not talking about quickfire. She was in the bottom on the quickfire this week, but in the elimination challenge, she has yet to be on the bottom, and she is checking in at 30 points, third on the overall scoring.
Before we head off, I want to preview Resturant Wars for a little bit, because I think it's one of the, first of all, it's just one of the great signature events in all of reality competition television. There's nothing like Resturant Wars, in my opinion. It is what, and everybody knows it, and you could see it from the preview after the episode. They lean into the fact that it is the singular event of this, even more, I think, than the finale. Now, there's always this debate, Tom. Do you want front of the house? Do you want to be exec chef? I mean, one of the kind of intrinsic flaws, it may be not a flaw, but certainly a distinguishing characteristic of Resturant Wars is you really put yourself at risk if you choose one of those two positions, yes, executive chef or front of the house. You're always better being on the line, right? Now, I'm curious, front of the house candidates.
Okay, so
I would say first and foremost Sarah. Am I correct there?
I think Sarah, Amar, and Gabri, front of house, that's my big board.
Why do you have Gabri as front of the house?
Everyone loves Gabri. Everyone loves him.
In other words, he's just an infectious personality who will make you feel welcome in the kitchen, in the restaurant. Okay.
Yes, I think he has an infectious personality. I think he's a little clumsy, as we saw in this episode. Right. But I think he has the sort of energy that you need to be in the front of house. Sarah, she has her own restaurant. She knows. Yeah. She's just incredible, charismatic personality, and she has great command of the room. So I feel like she'd be attentive and understanding the different dynamics at play when you're in front of house. And Amar, I just think as just a bright personality who has open restaurants and has multiple restaurants there in LA, I feel like he would know what it takes to run front of house. And he's just the most positive energy on the show. No matter what, he's just always upbeat. And I think you need that as front of house in terms of.
I think Amar is a locker room guy. Like, he is the ultimate locker room guy.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He's Juan Toscano Anderson. He's better than Juan Toscano Anderson in terms of his actual play, but he's a guy that everyone just wants. He's the best man. He's the eternal best man at the wedding, where it's just like, yeah, that guy, I want to be running the show, and he's gonna be the life of the party. So Amar. What about executive chef? So the executive chef who's basically running the kitchen, who's on your big board?
I mean, I think you got to start with Buddha. Buddha is a guy who has done this. He's authoritative. He's bossy, not too bossy. He's usually right. Now, look, Aaliyah's got a very renowned restaurant in Amman, and I think it's a decent size. He clearly has vision, and I would think but also I would also go with Nicole as well. Although I think she could be she's a doer, and I do think she could just make that line work.
Yep.
But it's it's a tough call. I
would say Buddha's number one on my book. Yeah. And secondly, beyond his acumen and beyond his style and his energy and his personality, that all leads to being a great executive chef. I do think that he has moneyballed Top Chef to the extent where he knows what works and what doesn't on Resturant Wars. He's probably studied it. He probably knows every single dish that's been put out on Resturant Wars and every single winner and every single loser, because as we know from past seasons, he is a Top Chefologist. And so I think Buddha would be the number one pick on executive. Ali would be 2. And I think Victoire would be my number one pick in terms of sous chef. She has clearly shown an ability to I think the language barrier is the toughest thing. Is if you're trying to communicate with the room, it's probably not best ideal to have someone who just learned the language in four months ago before appearing on the show. And it seems like that would be smart for her in the sense that we know if you want to stay on the competition, you don't want executive and you don't want front of house, because there's a high risk, high reward positions. And so I think on my big board, I think, Buddha's number 1 on my executive, then Ali, and then 3's I think I actually have Nicole at number 2 and then Ali at number 3 for executive chef.
And I'm a big fan of Tom, as you know. Like I drafted him high. I think there is incredible talent there. He is a guy I really worry about no matter where you put him, because
yes,
he has a ton of red flags, and for all different reasons. I mean, 1 is he's stubborn. 2, he just doesn't listen. 3, he works with too many components, and in Resturant Wars, it's just you need to simplify things a little bit. You need to create dishes that can be done efficiently and without a lot of fuss, and yet still wow. He seems resistant to that. He does suffer from, I didn't come to Top Chef to play it safe. We all get that, and we all admire that as a skill. It's not about playing it safe. It's about conforming to the restraints of a challenge. He seems to have real issues with that, and he doesn't play well with others. And so Tom, to me, is a big red flag. And I say this as someone who's rooting for him, who loves his ideas. I think he is one of the most creative chefs in the field, but he's somebody I would worry about. I'd clearly worry in the front of the house. I'd worry about him as executive chef. I'd certainly worry about him on the line. And so, he is somebody who will torpedo an executive chef.
Right. And I think if you're watching the NBA, you might think that Giannis Antetokounmpo might be the MVP of the league, but in a skills challenge, you're probably not picking him. It's no knock.
I don't know. He's a good passer. He's a great passer.
Dribbling and passing, you would take him over the field?
Take him over a lot of stars.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. I don't think of him as being the unrefined superstar.
I mean, how many MVPs are unrefined?
That is the sound of 70% of our listeners now clicking off this late into the episode as you and I start to have an NBA sports bar debate. Anyway.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is Tom, as great as he is, like Resturant Wars is not his strength.
No,
it is not his. I'm not going to pick him in Resturant Wars. So now let me just counter this and ask you, Kevin, if you found yourself, Kevin Arnovitz, on Tom's team, what position do you put him at?
I'm going to tell you right now. I put him as executive chef.
Wow.
I put him as executive chef.
Because his strength is, if he's stubborn, let him.
Let's put it this way. Here's a position I don't want as a contestant. I do not want to be executive chef with Tom on my line. I would rather say, we all know the history. If I get Tom and Tom's on the team, dude, you want to boss people around, be executive chef, we're going to be the losing team, and I'm not going home. And I can live with that. Like, I honestly believe if you told me, if I'm, let's say I'm Victoire, or I'm whoever, Amar, I am, and it's me, Tom, and 2 others. And there's a natural one of your, and let's say one of those people is a Sarah or a front of the house person, and another one of those people is a replacement player. It doesn't matter. I am not going to be executive chef with Tom on the line. It is a recipe for disaster, because he's going to be too ponderous in his dish. He's going to have too many components. He's not going to care. It's going to be about his dish. you make him executive chef. You take the L. You're probably going to lose, and you're probably not going home yourself because you're going to do your job.
Also, I love this because the fact of the matter is you can convince him that it's a win, that it's a compliment. Hey, you know what, Tom? I think you'd be a great executive chef.
Of course. No, you don't say no, the answer is not, oh, you asshole, you're executive chef because I'm not going home with you. No, the answer is, oh, Tom, by all means, you have a great vision. And he does. The thing is, I like Tom as a chef. I feel strong about him going forward. I think if he can just get out of his own way a little bit and stop being stubborn, in his individual challenges, I think he'd be among the points leaders right now.
Okay.
This isn't, I just think that he has particular qualities for this particular show and particularly for this event, Resturant Wars, that just scream disaster.
You know what's cool? I just realized this, Kevin. You have 4 chefs in the competition. I have 4 chefs in the competition. So we could actually do this. Kevin, Buddha, Tom, Nicole, and Gabri. You're the GM. You're the coach.
All right.
You've got 4 cheftestants, Buddha, Tom, Nicole, and Gabri. They're on your Resturant Wars team. Give me their positions. Because now it's Buddha or Tom for executive.
All right. You know what else you do? Tom is tall and handsome. You put him in the front of the house.
Wow, you
put him in the front of the house.
Just 3 seconds ago, just said you make him the executive chef, and now you're putting him in front of the house?
But I have Buddha. All right, so if I'm Buddha, now, in other words, I'm the coach. Am I, is my life depending? So, because here's the question for your game.
Yes.
If I'm the general manager of the restaurant or the owner and the investor, are you telling me that my life depends on winning? Then I still want Buddha as executive chef. If you're telling me I'm Buddha and these are my 3 teammates, I want Tom as executive chef. I think one way to maybe do this is just make Tom, which is hilarious. It's if you do ethnic jokes of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, the last person you want in the front of the house is a German, right?
Right.
In
of
Tom's
course,
case, he's handsome. He has a nice smile. He's tall.
He's the celebrity cruise guy. He's the cruise ship.
You know what?
Executive chef.
Let me say this. Radical now. I'm going to throw. I just said make him executive chef. Maybe you make him front of the house then. I forget. He's the Love Boat guy. Maybe you make him Isaac. No, Isaac's the bartender. You make him, who was the guy that was the congressman?
It was before my time. Come on. You're talking to someone who was born in 1986.
I was born in 1841. So, yes.
All right. So you got Tom, front of house.
Front of the house.
Buddha.
I forgot he's a cruise ship guy.
And then Nicole and Gabri for your sous chefs. And that's to win. I'm saying
Nicole's an engine. She's, Nicole is good. Also, she can get a little prickly. I don't know that I want her. I kind of want her taking orders, not giving them.
Okay. Do you want to hear my picks?
Yeah.
So I've got Ali.
You've got an easier one.
Sarah, Amar, and Victoire. Okay. I'll start with the easiest thing for me is I'm putting Sarah front of house.
Of course.
I think she'd be my number 1 pick for front of house. I'm feeling great about that. Victoire is going to be my sous chef, one of the 2 sous chefs.
You got it.
The tough one for me that I'm debating is Ali or Amar, because I think Amar is probably the best teammate. And so I think he would be a great listener and taking of orders, and he'd be totally fine with it. I'm going to put Amar as my sous chef and then Ali as my executive chef.
I think that's correct. I think Amar is a glue guy, and there's something, and he's also he's just efficient too. And I think that that's a guy you want, the no ego guy. He he and Victoire on the line. I like your team for this particular competition. I don't love my team for that. And also, as much, I'm doing Gabri in front of the house. Gabri is friendly, but he's not the most organized dude in the world.
That's right. Even though he can kick ass
front of the house is not
just hamachi.
Right. Yeah. Front of the house is more than just giving a smile. He has effervescent energy, but he doesn't have calming energy. Right. He's a little emotional. I do think I could see him getting very frenzied in the front of the house. And in fact, I might put Nicole in the front of the house. because I do think she does kind of, there is a different confidence. I don't know. You have a much better team for Resturant Wars. By the way, I think going forward, I'll take my 4 chefs against your 4 chefs in terms of skill and competition on an average week. I think for Resturant Wars, you have a beautifully structured team, whereas I have problems all over the place. Anyway, closing thoughts, Tom.
Yeah, well, let's real quick hit the Last Chance Kitchen. Dale versus Sylvia.
We gotta do that.
Dale versus Sylvia had to do a French omelet. And as someone who every Saturday morning I make an omelet for me and my wife, and I'm not a French omelet guy. I got to be honest. I like to saute some mushrooms, some onions, some spinach or kale in the pan, and then I throw the heat way down. And I take my whisked 2 eggs. I don't do a la Arnovitz, which is just 2 egg yolks. I do 2 eggs, whisk them up. And then while the pan is really, lukewarm, and I don't want to burn as soon as I pour the egg puree on there, I put the egg puree, I flip it once. I do the little pushing. I don't know what you call it, what the scientific term is, or the technical term of pushing the puree around, the egg puree around. But then I flip it once just to get it cooked. And for a hot second, then I flip it back and then do the half. That's how I do what my wife calls a tomlet in my house. So I was actually interested to see how they did an omelet challenge for Last Chance Kitchen. Sylvia does an Arnold Bennett omelet, which is just the heaviest thing in the most Sylvia way possible. It's got hollandaise, it's got truffles, it's got fish in it, and she throws it in the oven and bakes it, and it turns out it gets a little overcooked, whereas Dale, just the ever precise tweezery is not the word. Even though he looks like someone who would be a tweezery chef, he is going to do the classic French omelet with mushrooms and spinach. When Tom Colicchio asks him why mushrooms and spinach, he just says, because I like mushrooms and spinach, dude. It's really tasty. And he actually wins the challenge. And it was interesting to see Last Chance Kitchen. They don't have the peanut gallery anymore. We don't have the 7 seats there watching the competition. Perhaps it was, a concession of just hey, we're not going to keep you locked up in your hotel room for longer than you need to. You all are already winners on Top Chef, finalists on Top Chef. We can send you home. And so there was no peanut gallery here. Dale moves on to Last Chance Kitchen. Will face Charbel, which we will review on the next episode. But right now, Kevin, Dale is still alive. Our guest, if you haven't listened to that episode yet, we had Dale McKay on the show last week. Even though Tom liked to just really make fun of him in this Last Chance Kitchen, basically laying into him and saying, Sylvia, you lasted 2 times as long on the competition than Dale did. And Dale's like, what the heck, dude? So Dale moves on. Kevin, the standings as it stands. I have 126 points. You have 107. You had a big week. You had the winning team with Buddha and Tom, and I just slide in with Ali, but I lose Charbel, one of my top scorers on the squad. And Sarah clocks in with a 0, a big fat 0, even though I think she probably deserved to be a 2, and maybe if she was on the right team, she would have been a 5 or a 10. But because she was on the losing team, she gets 0, and Amara gets 0, and Victoire moving right along with a 2 points because she just was in the middle. She's going to be at Resturant Wars. Resturant Wars is next week. Kevin, any other thoughts based on Last Chance Kitchen and where we're at?
No, I am stoked. I love Resturant Wars. For Tom Haberstroh, this is Kevin Arnovitz, and this is Pack Your Knives.